The Outback. One of the most important visual icons to Australia. Arguably, it's what gives this country its unique identity. Even to us locals, the Outback is a scary place. Its sheer size and emptiness evokes a sense of mystery and plays into man's fear of the unknown. This idea stems from the country's earliest myths and legends, dating all the way back to Dreamtime stories told by the Aborigines. Today, a lot of those ideas have been translated and showcased through a plethora of Australian films and television. Films that tend to use the Outback use it as a means to create a sense of terror, a vast, never-ending void populated with all sorts of dangerous predators just ready to pounce and attack its prey. Films such as Mad Max, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and Wake and Fright are fundamentally Australian films and are seen as such due to this use of the Outback. It's what also helped them stand out from other films from different regions at that time, solidifying their identity as Australian. These films have become known as the Australian Gothic. As time moved forward and this genre of Australian cinema began to evolve, it slowly began to deviate from the Outback setting. It moved into a setting just as unique and recognisable and haunting to the Australian audience. It moved into the Australian suburb. The reason why it was so effective is because it still carried over the themes that made Australian Gothic so great. Those themes being fear, isolation, and predatory violence. Films like Animal Kingdom, Snowtown, and The Babadook are all set within an ordinary Australian suburb, yet still are labelled under the Australian Gothic banner due to the grim themes they encompass. Though these films are fantastic, I feel like the best contemporary example of a modern Australian Gothic is Ben Young's 2016 thriller, Hounds of Love. Hounds of Love is a 2016 thriller set in the suburbs of Perth, Western Australia in 1987. It follows the kidnapping of a teenager, Vicky Maloney, by psychopaths John and Evelyn White as they proceed to torture and rape Vicky in their home. Although Hounds of Love is in a recontextualised setting, it still manages to stay within the means of an Australian Gothic genre by sticking to the themes that made that genre so effective in the first place. The themes of fear, isolation, and predatory violence are best represented by the film's three lead characters, Vicky, John, and Evelyn. Vicky feels isolated from her mother due to her parents being recently divorced and has driven a wedge between her and her mum. Vicky feels alone, trapped, and longs to be happy. Vicky becomes the prey to the predators lurking in the bushes. She becomes trapped and isolated in the White House, with no means of escape. The predatory aspect of Australian Gothic is embodied by John. His unpredictable, unhinged, animalistic behaviour is frightening to watch. His relationship with Evelyn can be likened to that of Joker and Harley Quinn. John is very much in charge. He often manipulates her and twists her stories to benefit his own sick morality. He keeps her at bay by providing her with a roof over her head and a dog as a sort of apology from driving her away from her son. He feels no compassion for his victims that he kills and rapes. Evelyn is easily the most complex character in the film. She isn't anywhere as close to evil as John, although she does go along with all the rape and torture, but there's clearly enough evidence given to us in the film that she isn't happy with where she is, and that there is some sort of humanity left in her. She longs to see her estranged son and contemplates suicide multiple times. This is shown by the amount of baby toys left around the house, the pictures left on the fridge, and even Vicky noticing it when she begins to bargain with her to let her go. It's often rare to see these sorts of character complexity in a standard horror film. Giving these characters an extra layer or two really makes them feel like real people, which can be argued makes it even more unsettling to watch. John and Evelyn's house take on the role of the Outback would usually encompass an Australian Gothic. It's a location populated by dangerous predators who live solely to lurk and hunt innocent prey. The stark contrast of moving from a grand desert to a small suburban house provides an effective means of showcasing that Vicky is not only in enemy territory, but she also is trapped and helpless. Unlike the Outback, the intention here isn't to propel the audience into uncharted enemy territory, it's to create the opposite effect. The use of the suburban setting is used to bring a sense of familiarity to the location. It discards the mystical nature of the Outback to make the film more grounded. Even though this is technically a period piece, a lot of the film's setting and mise-en-scene will strike a chord with locals, as a lot of suburbs and houses today still look like the ones used in the film. Seeing such terror unfold in a setting a lot of us call home makes it very unsettling to watch. Films like Hounds of Love have ushered a new life into the Australian Gothic. The move into Australian suburbia is not only refreshing to see, it still remains fundamentally true to what made the genre so appealing. Australian Gothic was about creating films that are Australian through and through, so it's natural that we set it in the place that Australia is most well known for. Though as the country evolved and grew over time, there was and is a lot more to Australia than just the Outback. And this Australian Gothic new wave is doing a fine job in showcasing that Australia isn't just one big desert, and that danger lurks around every corner.